Alhaji Mohammed. Honorable Minister, pleasure to have you with us on this special edition of Good Morning Nigeria.
Good morning, sir.
I'm good, my dear.
All right, I mean, there's good news in the air, and there is joy in the air from Katsina to other parts of the country on account of the release of the 344 schoolboys who were snatched from their campus in Kankara about a week ago by abductors. Tell us, what is the government's own disposition to what has happened?
Well, the abduction of the students from the secondary school in Kankara, it's just like what happened in Dapchi. It's a situation that the government finds unacceptable, and will continue to work to ensure that not only all our students are safe, but that the whole country is safe. Having said that, we must also situate in the correct context what happened in Kankara. We are in the world of terrorism, banditry, and Nigeria is not an exception. As I tried to illustrate during my press conference yesterday, that from the US to New Zealand to France to Nigeria, we all have regular doses of terrorism. If the most powerful country in the world could not prevent 9/11 from happening, 2001, nor France prevent over 26 people being killed by terrorists, or New Zealand could not stop in 2019 March about 49 Muslims being killed by terrorists in two churches, two mosques, then all we can do in Nigeria and all over the world is to ensure that we put in place measures that will ensure that we are on top of this matter. And another thing that I think we must emphasize is the difference between the way terrorism and banditry was handled before and the way it is being handled now. You see, in 2014, we had the unfortunate incident where about 200 girls were abducted. In Dapchi, in 2018, similar thing happened. And just last week, Kankara also happened. But you see, the difference in the three is the proactiveness, the response in containing and resolving the issue. And this is what I think Nigerians must appreciate. That when Dapchi happened, or Kankara happened, we immediately took responsibility. We did not seek to scapegoat. Neither did we seek to blame another person. But we went in, and within days, we were able to resolve this. But for you to think that there will be a country where you have security challenges, I think that will only happen in Ethiopia and Ethiopian society. So we will continue to improve on our social, economic policies. We'll also continue to equip and train better our military, and we continue to motivate all our security agencies so that we'll be ready when such things happen. But the most important thing is the measures we put in place to prevent them from happening.
Honourable Minister, even critics of government have applauded what has happened. The speed, the outcome, and disposition of government towards the Kankara schoolboys. There have been commendations, even from those who didn't expect, the speedy release of those children. What was the enabling prompt for government action?
Well, you see what I said. Here we have a government that is bold, coherent, consistent, and focused on the issue of security. You see, when you look at the way and the competent manner our security agencies have handled terrorism and banditry in the last couple of years, and you compare them with their peers in other parts of the world, you would just have to commend them. But if you remember, as soon as Mr. President came in 2015, he took 3 important steps that changed the narrative. The first thing he did was that he relocated the Tactical Command
Center
of the Army to the northeast. He sought collaboration with his regional, colleagues, in Chad, in Niger, in Cameroon, in Benin, and also in Cameroon, to fight terrorism. He went further to seek the assistance of the G8, because he understood that this is a global issue. And from then we've had a lot of collaboration with with other countries, and then we reintegrated the multinational joint task force. And then we also improved the morale of the military by ensuring that they have the equipment, they are motivated, and they have the training that's necessary. And that is why, as opposed to Chibok, where it took about 3 weeks before anything was done, in Dapchi, in Kankara, within hours, the federal government moved in and dominated the scene. Yes, we employed both kinetic and non-kinetic approaches. But the important thing that is the result, that within a few days, we were able to return all the 344 children unharmed and unconditionally. Very important, unconditionally.
Would you say this then would be a paradigm shift in the way we conduct, rescue operations?
It's always been our position. That's why I said it was the same that happened in Dapchi. I remember that within a few hours of Dapchi's, of the kidnapping, of the children in Dapchi, the entire military security architecture was already in Dapchi, or in Yobe State.
You know why I asked? All these boys came back. I mean, no, not one of them. We didn't lose any one of them. Not one of them was hurt. Unlike our previous rescue operations in Dapchi and in Chibok. We still have a number of Chibok girls. So this one is a landmark success.
No, you see, Dapchi and Chibok are two different situations. Like I told you, not only were we not in charge in Chibok, but when you look at what I've just said, in Chibok, it took about 400 hours before decisive action was taken. It took at 21 days before the government then, first of all, opened an information center and then moved special forces. But that's not the issue. I'm concentrating on what happened when we came in. And I say that in Dapchi, for instance, we moved in within hours. And don't forget that we did not, even in Dapchi, we did not have to engage the abductors. But we use both kinetic and non-kinetic, approach. In Kankara, again, it's different. Kankara, again, we simply dominated the entire environment. Our ISR were in complete control. Our ground troops were in control. And in addition, we also, relied on our governors of, Zamfara and Katsina states, who are the chief security officers in their respective states, and who knew what buttons to press. And at the end of the day, this is the result we got.
Well, the question remains one of particular lessons to learn from incidents of this nature. We saw what happened in Dapchi. Now we have seen what has happened in Kankara, and earlier what also played out in Chibok. The issue of mass abduction, as it were, with hundreds of vulnerable, otherwise vulnerable students being snatched from their campuses or the school premises and then headed into the forest, or otherwise taken away in Hilux vans. This is something that is worrisome. What is the government likely to do with regard to ensuring that part of the whole idea of the Safe School Initiative continues to serve as a protection, as it were, for schools, especially in the northern fringes of the country, where these incidents are common now?
You see, it's when you have incidents like this that the issue of what the military or the government is doing comes, into public, comes into the public arena. But every day, federal government, through its security and intelligence community, have been involved in ensuring that the situation is contained. You see, I spoke about non-kinetic, for instance. I know that many of our military formations also engage in non-kinetic activities, such as rehabilitation of former terrorists, such as giving them, training, giving them skills. And I have been invited to the graduation ceremony of some of these, former terrorists, and being integrated in society. The various intervention programs of government has also helped a lot to improve the social and economic well-being of citizens all over the country. And these are some of the things government is doing by providing employment, providing an enabling environment for people. So it's not so much about the kinetic. You don't achieve everything by putting soldiers in every school. No. Rather, you go to what are the root causes of some of these, malfeasance. What are the root causes of some of these, social, ills. And this is what the government of this administration in particular has been doing, in addition to also encouraging the military, the security agencies, giving them capacity, improving their capacity, improving their ability to dominate their environment.
Sorry, I would like you to clarify, because the media is awash with some of these things. From the explanation you've given us, I want to believe that the students were rescued. Now listen to one of the accounts of one of the students on, I think, the Hausa service of the VOA. I don't know if the minister also heard about it. The boy indicated that he overheard the captors ask in the phone call, "Sir, should we release or kill them?" I'm wondering, what does intelligence tell us about the identity and the motive for these abductions?
You see, I've never been a terrorist. I hope I will never be one.
Certainly.
But I understand that, you see, they also work on the psychology of their captives. Of course, when they allow the children to hear that kind of conversation, it's deliberate. To scare them, is to cow them. And you see, another thing that we must not overlook is the valiant attempt by the Boko Haram insurgents to actually take ownership of this particular incident. They sought to make it their own their own action. Of course, we saw through it. They were the one that was sending videos, but we knew clearly that this is the antic of a dying organization that wants to remain relevant. This was this was the act of bandits whom we have been confronting on a regular basis, and that we continue to confront until we completely dominate, the environment. But those kind of tactics are, we shoot them or not, is for the benefit of the children.
I shouldn't really be asking this question, but I want to pose it. But I want to pose it regardless. I said I shouldn't be asking because ordinarily it's a no-brainer when you look at the circumstances, the trauma, and the whole issues that are involved. And I'm sure you have heard this yourself. So let me not use any qualifiers. So that would be your responsibility, Minister. There are claims in some quarters that Dapchi and now Kankara were stage managed. You have heard that, haven't you? Yeah, so that's why I'm asking. I shouldn't be asking, but I will still ask it.
I know.
Yes.
See, and I think, just like I've heard also that many people are mightily disappointed that Kankara was resolved so fast, just like Dapchi was resolved so fast. And that many naysayers would have loved this to become another co-celebrity, which will become the lightning rod. Otherwise, how do you explain, spurious organizations like Bring Back Our Boys, within a few days of the capture of the students, form the association, move to Katsina. Now, but you see, to come back to your question, Kingsley, it doesn't make sense for the administration to state manage Dapchi, state manage Kankara. What precisely does the government want to achieve? Do you want to prove the efficiency of your military? Do you want to prove, what do you want to prove? In the case of Dapchi, we had all kinds of bizarre theories. But you have to be in government to know how many sleepless nights the president, the heads of securities, the ministers spent until this matter was resolved. So, but when you have a situation like this and you have naysayers who are bent or not seeing anything good in a government, then all kind of theories will come up. But it doesn't make sense for a government to stage Dapchi. And you say, okay, Dapchi was 2018. How clever could we have been that 2 years down the line, 2.5 years down the line, nobody can tell us how it was staged? And why would we, mobilize all kind of platforms, even involving non-kinetic, approaches to prove what point? It doesn't make sense, Kingsley.
Okay, if it wasn't state managed, as you say, Honorable Minister, one of your chieftains, I'm sure you must have read it. It's trending. Has made an allegation against a chief executive in the north, and again, bandits carrying out this kind of activities. What are you doing with that information? Are you working on that allegation? And is government working on that allegation against a chief executive in the north? Are you looking through it to find out if there are truths in that allegation? And how would you evaluate the carrot and stick approach that it's been used, to address some of these crimes, committed by bandits? Is it working?
I take a second question first. Yes. Anywhere in the world, you use carrot and stick. Whether it's in Afghanistan, whether it's in Europe, whether it's in America. Because what is paramount to you as a government, it is safety and security of those who have been abducted. It's like an operation being successful and the patient die, then it's nullity. So yes, we'll continue to use stick and carrot. We'll continue to use kinetic and non-kinetic approaches. That's practice all over the world. As to the first leg of your question, I think we made it very clear, Mr. President, the governor of Katsina State, and even my press release, that we received cooperation from the governor of Zamfara State. We received cooperation from many individuals who we cannot, even name. Some of them don't even want to be recognized for strategic reasons. So, and to me, that is what is verifiable, and that is where I stand. We'll continue to work with every government, every organization that means well for this country, and even friends of Nigeria. And this is what happens all over the world. Just a few weeks ago, you saw how the cooperation between Nigeria and the U.S. also helped the U.S., in retrieving one of their kidnapped, citizens. And this is what happens all over the world.
Well, Honorable Minister, what is wrong with Nigeria's political class, such that national issues, including breaches of our security, mass abduction, and so on and so forth, that should call for a united position, often then will result in the politicization of such issues? So I'm just asking, the political class, you're a politician, so all of you.
Thank you, Dr. Kingsley. You see, you remember in my press conference yesterday, I said normally, in a time of crisis and tragedy, people normally come together to address that issue. It's not a time to politicize or even trade or commercialize the mystery and tragedy of a whole nation. And I'm not proud to be lumped together in the same class as those who claim to be politicians, because those are not real politicians. Yes, we can have our differences, but when it comes to issues like Ankara, we should come together and fight it. After we've resolved it, we can ask, government, you should have done this, you should have done that. But like I pointed out, some political parties actually came to Abuja and were, they had already made vests, they had already made banners, parading in the streets. We're not talking about increase in the bread price. We're talking about the lives of 300 plus children, any of which could be their own. So honestly, Kingsley, there's something not quite right with some of our politicians. Is it Kankara or Dapchi? It's not a time to politicize or air your differences. It's a time for nations to come together, in times of grief.
Okay, Honorable Minister, let's put you on hold. and we'll take a short break. When we come back, we'll go over to Katsina. I am told that we're having Kingsley, is that what it is?
That's right. We're going to have a special advisor to the Katsina State Governor join us on this conversation. It's a special advisor on security matters to the Katsina State Governor. So let's go on a short break now. When we return, we'll probably just one more question for the minister, and then we go over to Katsina.
The counsel of our fathers.
I believe we have fought one civil war too many in this